ready? We are going to move through this. I don't want to go too fast because I want to miss anything, because I know this is the one thing everybody's kind of anxious about, interviewing and getting prepared. But we have another obligation that we've got to get to across the river. So if I go too fast, please stop me. Because I want you all to be able to have all the information that you need to do what you need to do to get ready to do interviewing. So my name is Nikki Gray. I'm the talent acquisition manager for Enterprise. This is Leanne Smigelski. She is one of our specialists, our talent acquisition specialist. We oversee for Enterprise, the state of West Virginia, Southeast Ohio, Eastern Kentucky, and Western Maryland. So we have a huge amount of territory that we cover. We, last year, went through about 14,000 applications on our own totally throughout the year for full and part-time positions. So this is what we do quite a bit of. Enterprise is the #1 hire of college graduates in the world. So yearly, we probably, as talent acquisition people across the entire country, do more interviewing than every other company out there, just because we have so many candidates, which is awesome. But we do have a little bit of practice with it. So I will tell you, and I told, if you were here yesterday, we kind of heard this, but my daughter's a graduating senior, and she wants to come to UC to do the PA program, which is awesome because I'm an Eagle. So didn't have her here. I'm also a Delta, seems relatable all across the board. But she was being put into the interviewing circle that they have here, and she interviews well. So she was just going to fly by the seat of her pants, she told me. And I was like, I'm sorry. It's $30,000 times $550,000 that you're willing to just fly by the seat of your pants with. I don't think you are. So we're going to start doing some interviewing stuff. And when I started throwing things at her, she started realizing how challenged she was to be able to sell herself, to be able to sell all of the skills that she had, everything she'd done to prepare for this moment. She had done so much her whole life, been so successful, and she wasn't going to be able to walk into a room and sell this. Her mother's a recruiter. I was like, how have I failed my child on this? But she did well. She is going to be a Welsh Scholar, so that's exciting to know she's going to do that. But it's important, guys, and being prepared for it, getting prepared for it, being proactive. Yesterday I left Hannah, or I forwarded her the PowerPoint and kind of the presentation that we do on writing your resume. So the resume is going to get you to the interview, but what you do in the interview is going to get you the job. So they really kind of go hand in hand. So she does have a great presentation on that if you want to get that and go through it. Because how you're preparing your resume and the things, the exercises that I send you through to do that is also going to help you get prepared for your interview. Knowing everything that's on that resume, being able to talk about it, being able to point those things out, making sure you have those applicable things on your application and being able to talk through those, they're huge. Okay? So we're going to talk about preparing for the interview itself, and then the close. So professional image, absolutely. That's one of the things that people are looking for whenever you come into an interview. I tell the guys everywhere that I go, I understand that our fashion has come a long way, but when you look at and think about this before you answer it, you've probably never noticed it. And I didn't notice it until I heard it say it on Fox News one day, and then I started with reading it in Business Week. When the president, any president, doesn't even have to be our current president, when they address our country, when they're giving their State of the Union address, when they're doing those different types of things, they always wear a suit, absolutely. What color dress shirt do they have on every time, every president?
Is it blue? Is it white?
It's clean, it's crisp, it's simple, no one's checking off the stripes. We have someone in our office on Fridays, and then on Fridays if you have an acceptable customer service score, you can wear something business casual, so it doesn't have to be our business professional dress that we have to wear every single day at Enterprise. Guys are only allowed to wear a long sleeve white shirt with their suits every single day, except for Friday when they're allowed to do business casual. It's just kind of our company standard. It's very conservative. It's clean cut. It's not busy. It's not flashy. We have one person who will come down, and it doesn't impact me, but they sit in her office, and when they talk to her, his shirt's so busy with these tiny little stripes?
Yeah.
Pinstripes, yeah. It makes her sick at her stomach. It literally makes her nauseous. She's like, I hope he doesn't have that shirt on when he comes down here today, because I literally have found a spot on the wall that looks like I'm looking at him, and I can't make eye contact with him because it makes me want to throw up. I was like, whoa, somebody needs to tell him that, because if he's interviewing a candidate one day when it's like that, they're gonna get completely and totally distracted. Brett, your shirt makes me want to vomit, please. But we never want to go there, all right? Girls, definitely, you're gonna need to get you a couple pantsuits and a couple, or skirt suits, whichever is your preferable. It doesn't matter if it's a skirt or pantsuit, it doesn't really matter. I would say professional, nothing strappy. You can wear heels, closed-toed shoes. Peep toe, okay? It's about as unclosed toe that you're gonna wanna go. Anything strappy and flashy, anything like that. Really not professional. Cute, but not professional, okay? So think about that. Definitely something that wraps around your heel too. So you're gonna wanna make sure that it has a strap, not something that's just slip-on. You're gonna be standing up and walking all day anyway. You don't want the possibility of your ankle turning over. Yes?
Is there a preferred color for a suit, like maybe a dark blue with a red tie like that?
Sure. Darker better. Darker gray, black, dark brown, dark charcoal navy. Anything that's darker just is supposed to be the professional image.
And really the tie is just whatever you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
But-
No Charlie Brown.
No serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what she's saying with that too is I have a seersucker jacket that I wear only in the summer. It's like a light blue and white striped. It goes with a white shirt, a white pair of pants. But to an interview, I would probably never wear that. It's just not, it's a little more laid back. Skinny pants, I know that you all love those things. I just don't even understand them on any level, but they are not big boy professional or big girl professional. All right, you can wear them all night long when you're bar hopping and doing everything else you want to do with those. But I would, even when you're purchasing your suits, just because they're a little more edgy, I would kind of try to stay away from anything. I'm not saying anything that's cut athletic. Some of you have to do the athletic cut because of the way you're built in a V, and then your jackets are so big they look ridiculous. But if it's the skinny cut, I would stay away from those.
Maybe fitted?
Fitted would be fine. Okay. Know the company, do some research. There's nothing worse whenever she and I are on the phone with anybody or they come into the office and we're having a conversation with them and we're like, so tell me how what do you know about enterprise? Why do you want to jump on board with us? What are you looking for? And they say, well, I know you rent cars. Brainy guy, trying to show somebody out there Cheerios this morning. Literally we do, but I'm talking about the career. Why enterprise? How do we fit into what it is that you're looking for in a career? What is it that we do, that we stand for? How does our promotions work that line up to what it is that you want to do? I love it immediately when somebody says, it's sales, marketing, and management. You're going to teach me how to run a business and I'm going to get promoted on performance. I'm like, wow, somebody did their homework. They're serious about this. They're not wasting my time right now. There still has to be some selling on my part because I'm going to ask you to get a degree to come to work for me, wear a suit, and wash cars sometimes. Yes, we're going to ask you to do that. But does a business owner who has a hotel or a restaurant, when their people don't show up or when they get a little busy, are they emptying trash? Are they cleaning off tables? Are they doing dishes? Absolutely. And we're teaching you how to be a business runner. We're an entrepreneur, somebody that's able to do that. So know what my company is all about. I'm totally cool when people go, is it really true that I'm going to wash cars sometimes? And I'm like, yes, it really is true. You're going to do that. We hire people to do that, but sometimes they have run an errand for us, or they've gone to pick a customer up and take her car back, or go get an oil change, or go get gas, or move cars around between branches, and a customer shows up we weren't prepared for, so the car's not clean. Am I going to wait around for an hour to rent this guy a car, or are we going to run out back and wash it up real quick and get it going? Yeah, customer service wise, we're going to run out back and wash the car up real quick and get it going. No big deal. Stuff like that happens all the time. Okay, so know a little bit about the company. take that task that I gave you yesterday, writing the resumes, which by the way is kind of a chart. It's going to say, here's things you're going to want to know about yourself when you're writing a resume. What are your accomplishments? What does your education really look like? What have you done in the community? What are your honors and awards? You've forgotten a lot about those types of things. What are your strengths? How many of you could shoot me off real quick, 3 of what's your strengths without thinking about it? What are they? What are your weaknesses? What are those? What's your greatest accomplishment? What thing are you most proud of? What team events have you been involved in? What leadership events have you been involved in? Give me specific customer service pieces that you've actually been through. Because people are going to want specifics. You're not going to want to talk in generalities. So start thinking about those types of things whenever you're preparing for your interview. Use that analysis that I gave you yesterday to really help you do that. And the do's and don'ts are really important. You're not going to show up late. The rule of thumb in corporate America is if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. So keep that in mind. How many of you all are like, that's the thing in your whole life, always, always, always. It's like, I'm always just right on time. As hard as I try, I'm never early. I'm a little distracted. I don't even know how I'm doing. It takes me 2.5 hours in the morning to get ready. Literally. I don't even know why. Apparently, in the morning, I'm just incredibly slow.
Even when you wake up earlier, still the same thing, right?
Same thing. I don't even know how that happens. I swear I don't. If I wake up even earlier, I'm just giving myself more time to play, clearly, or like diddle, I don't even know. Do a little bit more laundry, load the dishwasher, whatever it is. I know that I do it too, and I still do it. Like I'm there on time, but I'm not 15 minutes early. My daughter went somewhere with me the other day. Maybe it was here. Actually, I think the day that we came for her interview, and we were like early. She's like, Mom, I don't think I've ever been anywhere early with you. Oh yeah, it was to pick you up or something.
It's late.
Yeah, we were supposed to meet at like 15 after somewhere. That's what it was. And Maddie and I got there at like, straight up on the clock, 6 o'clock, whatever, instead of 6:15. And we sat there for a little bit. She was like, is Leanne late? Is she always late like this? And I was like, she's never late. We're just early. What? I don't think I've ever been early with you somewhere. That's not good, okay? So if you want to start, if you know that's a problem, start putting things into place to get there. Because you're gonna want to have the fact that you can be punctual. Because not only does it tell them you're gonna roll in late for work, but you can talk a little bit about deadlines too. How serious you're gonna take things. Are you gonna be proactive? Are you gonna be organized to get this kind of stuff done? Because people are looking for the top of the top. You gotta think about it. Our economy's still not where it needs to be. All of these awesome jobs are being looked at by people who have proven themselves and have some experience and a lot of experience. And you all are just coming out of college. So these people are going to have kind of that experience edge on you a little bit. So you want to make sure that everything that you can do to impact your image and to impact your ability to do well in that interview, you're doing for yourself, okay? If you're a smoker, don't smoke on the way to your interview. I tell people all the time, if you're a smoker, stay the night at somebody's house who isn't a smoker. Go have that suit dry cleaned beforehand and get ready at their house the next morning. Get up if you need to. Go smoke if you need to. Outside, not the clothes that you're wearing to the interview. Take a shower, put your clothes on, go to your interview, and then you can smoke carp cigarettes like that. I don't care, but you don't want to roll in there smelling like that. Because you know what people try to do? They try to cover it up with cologne or like perfume. And then our receptionist will buzz us and say, it's 5 degrees outside, and she'll say, you're going to open your window, this person's going to stink up your office.
We had a lady that basically fumigated our entire downstairs area in our administrative building. My window and my door were open with a fan, and we still have people on the other side of the building complaining.
Yeah. So think about those types of things. All right. Neat and organized, clothing that is clean and pressed. We often have people come in who clearly wadded up their suit the last time they had it on, threw it over in the corner, 3 months later, decided to put it on and didn't iron it whenever they came in. So, what just happened to you? Appreciate the fact that you have on a suit, but you might as well just wear cargos or something, because that's a hot mess. And that's telling me a little bit about what I'm going to expect of you when you're coming in, too. Okay? Think where it says neat professional hairstyle. Wet hair with a sloppy bun on top, guys, it's not neat and professional at all. You gotta think about preventive, but I think about facial hair when you're looking at a company for guys. Some companies are okay with it, some aren't. Know a little bit about what they're okay with and what they're not okay with. We allow a mustache. That's it. No chin strap, no goatee, no beard, mustache. So if you don't come in shaven, Leanne and I will have that awkward conversation with you. We have to before we send you on, because when you go to that next interview, they're gonna call and ask us if we talked to you about what that expectation is gonna be. It doesn't define you, I promise you, it doesn't. And you're not Samson, and you're not gonna lose strength or whatever it is that you think that you have to have it for you, but know how you're gonna react to it too when you have the conversation, because body language is gonna say a lot about it, okay? Girls, they need to be covered up. Please. We're not clubbing, okay? So button it up, cover it up, whatever it is that you need to do. Big gigantic earrings, so when you lean forward and talk to me, they're like jumbling out in your face, or it's like the Tide commercial where that Spot's talking to the guy the whole time during the interview. I'm just keep looking at your earrings over and over. Yeah, we had a girl come in yesterday and her interview was solid, but she works at a retail store in the mall, and she's dressed, like if I walk into that store to shop, that's exactly what they would be dressed like, and that's exactly what I would come out buying for my child, because it was them. But as soon as she walked into our building and everyone in there had on a suit, she was like, yeah, this isn't good, is it? Like she knew immediately the difference. Kind of know those things before you get there, get prepared, and you know what to expect. And that's a lot about getting ready for that company too. When you look at that research that you're doing for their company and you know it's going to be a professional image, or maybe it's not, are you going to be okay with that? What's that expectation? Okay. Be careful of trends. We talked about that. Earrings and piercings. You can have with us as many piercings that you can have. Girls can have 2 on their bottom lobe and nothing in the top when they come to work. No other visible piercings can be seen on women. Men can have no visible piercings at work. You can have them, you just can't wear them to work. Not a problem. Tats, you can have as many as you want, as long as they can be covered and I can't see them. So, the one that you went and got with your sorority letters, I keep telling my sisters to stop it, they don't listen to me, on their wrist. The ones down here on your ankle, maybe across your foot. Like if I would ever get a tattoo, I'd want it on my foot. Unless I want to wear boots for the rest of my career with enterprise or my car, I'm not gonna be able to do it. You gotta think about the ones that you're even getting back here, because if you wear your hair up and I can see it, I'm gonna have you put a Band-Aid on it. So think about those types of things before you do it and know what the company's expectation is with it, okay? I'm not asking you to like it. I'm not even saying I totally agree with it. I'm just saying this is how corporate America rolls, and if we want to be a part of it, we got to know what that expectation is. Some companies are totally okay with visible tattoos. Some are going to be okay with different piercings. I rolled into the DMV about a year ago, and the guy who waited on me had on blue jeans, a Metallica t-shirt, both ears were pierced, and he had a tattoo across his arm. It's like, does he work here? Like I really was confused why he was behind the counter. More than anything, the Metallica t-shirt is what threw me off. That he was at work with a Metallica t-shirt on. It wasn't even so much the piercings or anything else, but the blue jeans that kind of had like rips in them right here, and the shirt. I really was confused as to what was going on there. So, look at the things that are going to be important to you. What are you looking for in a company? Is seniority important to you? Or would it bother you if somebody that you do a better job than and somebody that you perform better at is going to get that next promotion because they've been there longer? Some people are okay with that. They just see that as stability, and if I keep my head down and work hard, eventually it'll be mine. If they die, get shot, fired, or leave, then I can get promoted. But know if you're going to be okay with that. Know what their 401k is, and if they have one. What about their benefits? How does that work? What do they think about the environment? Do they protect it? Is that important to you? What about community involvement and community service? How important is that to you? Where does that rank in their importance? Once you go through that training program, are they going to place you where they want you, or do you have a say-so in where you're going to be located and where you're going to be working? Do you want the opportunity to be able to go outside of this area? Are you going to be willing to go outside of this area if they tell you you can work here in this area for a couple of years, but in order for your career to keep going where it's going to be going, you're going to have to be a little bit flexible. Even if it's 40 minutes up the road, maybe it's going to be 3 hours up the road. I don't know. What's your body language going to say about that if you don't research and know about it when you go into that interview and you ask about those types of things? Read the job description. I can't tell you how often we have this one position called a service agent position, and I swear I feel like nobody reads the job description when they apply, because I'm like, well, let me tell you, what did you hear about it? Why were you interested? Well, I mean, I do customer service. I've been helping people in the office. Our service agents are the ones who detail our cars. The description in there says nothing about working in the office or really helping customers. It talks specifically about cleaning cars, keeping them detailed, make sure they're maintenance, make sure that the parking lot structure is correct, da-da-da-da-da-da. They just saw a title, assumed that they knew what it was, they applied for it, they took the 25 minutes that it takes to apply online to do that. They've gone through emails with me to get their, and Leanne to get their interview set up, and now I've taken the time out of my time to do an interview with them, and they don't even know what they're interviewing for. And then when I say it's going to be 20 to 25 hours a week, it's $8.25 an hour, here's the schedule that we need, this is what you're going to be doing, they're like, that's not what I thought it was. Well, what did you think it was? And when they tell me, I'm like, did you read the description? No, why? So, make sure you're prepared. Take a resume with you, even if you've been asked to attach it to your application. I think it's awesome to show that you're prepared. And make sure it's an updated one with no things scratched through it. Last week I was down at Marshall to do mock interviews for them, and this was an assignment. They had to do it for a class, so they were getting graded on this, which makes me get more nervous when I'm giving these people like grades that could impact their ability to graduate or not. And one of the assignments was to take a fresh, crisp, clean, up-to-date, well-maintained resume with you, even though they had already provided one to the Career Service Center. And when I asked people for them, they were turning ones into me that were different than the ones they gave to the Career Service Center, and they had like mark-throughs on them, or I would get, you know what, I printed it and I forgot to bring it. Like I did yesterday. But it's not, it just doesn't look good to take something that's wrong. I would rather you tell them you don't have one with you than to give them one that's just unprofessional. Would you agree? Yeah. Okay. What are your skills? What are your strengths? We talked about this. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? A lot of times, and I'll tell you right now, I started here, double major, nursing and psychology, going into my senior year and finally had the guts to tell my mother and my 2 grandmothers who are nurses, because no one ever asked me what I wanted to do, they just told me I was going to be a nurse, that I didn't want to be a nurse. So, med-surg did me in. Didn't want to do that anymore. I was done, over it. Not real patient, learned that a little bit. And that's one of my strengths, that I'm not patient because I want to get things done, but it's also one of my weaknesses because it really tends to over-irritate people. Ask my child, okay? So it's a good or a bad thing that I know that about myself. Well, what is it that you want? I didn't know what I wanted when I finished my psychology degree. I just knew that I wanted to be successful and I wanted to make a lot of money. And if I had to pick up garbage to do that you told me I had a career path, I was gonna make $1 million to do it, I was gonna do it. Like that's how much I didn't care about what it was that I was doing. I just knew what that end result wanted to be for me. So know what your goals are. And then what is it that you have that are transferable? A lot of people will say, I don't have sales experience. And I'm like, okay, are you an athlete? Have you been involved in extracurricular? Oh yes, these are all of the things that I've done. Those skills are absolutely transferable to work experience. So you're gonna wanna know how to relate those skills over, okay? Sales isn't so much about having somebody purchase a product as it is being assertive. Being aggressive, knowing what your goals are, being goal-oriented and hitting them, And then being persuasive, getting people to buy into your ideas or your thoughts as to why something needs to be achieved. So understand the transfer of skills of what you have and what they're looking for. Practice. I made her practice, my daughter, getting ready. Go through it over and over. Think through what you're going to say. Look up questions, interview questions. Google it. It's all over Google. Behavioral interviewing questions are all over Google. Start practicing how you would deliver that and hear yourself. Record yourself on your phone and play it back. Watch yourself in the mirror and record yourself on the phone and then play it back. Fresh breath, huge. Eye contact is gigantic. Make sure that you're making that. Smile at people. Be excited. When people come in and they tell me that they're really aggressive and they love to get things done. And I just really always want them on their team. I'm like, really? Because I'm about to take a nap and you can breathe. I'm just not seeing it. Now, could that be because they're nervous? Maybe. But I try to tell them that, okay, you're telling me that you're super aggressive, you're really spontaneous, you love to have a ton of fun, you're really assertive. Pressed to see it right now, okay? So I'm gonna need you to smile. Have I done something wrong? No. Are you nervous? Yes. Okay. Relax. Let's talk a little bit more, just about a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit more about this, and I'll shift those questions to try to get them to relax a little bit. But then when we go back into it, and they're so serious, and they're talking to me like this, their facial expression never changes, and it's one tone. What do you all think? All right, smile, have a good time, let people know your personality. I can't tell you how often that area managers don't want to hire candidates because they say that they have low energy. I just don't know they're going to be able to withstand the entire day that we have. They're telling me they're fun, they're telling me that they're competitive. I don't see it, dude. Like, I don't see this at all. Okay, so make sure people see that. When you shake someone's hand, can you stand up? See the web of her hand and my hand? See how they meet? This is a handshake. I don't have any idea what this is. Except for ridiculous. Like, don't do that. Even if it's a man to a woman or a woman to a man because you don't know what's going on, look them right in the eye and shake their hand.
I'll have men tell me that they don't want to hurt me. You're not gonna hurt me. I mean, at the same time, you shouldn't try to like strong arm somebody, but it's not gonna hurt me. Firm handshake's always best. It's weird.
Accentuate the positive. Make sure you know how to really kind of sell those skills. That's great for them to be on there. It's great to tell them, but do it excitingly. Accentuate how you hit these things. When you're giving people your results, they should be something that you can measure. Okay, a quantifiable type of result. You increased it by 35%. You sold 10% above the margin. You were in the top 5% of this. In a ranking, this kind of thing happened. Here's the results that we see as an increase. Okay? Make sure that you can sell the types of things that you're trying to get across to people. Don't arrive late, don't talk too much. I can't tell you how often we can't even get through an interview because we have them scheduled back to back to back. And we ask somebody a question and they've gone around the mountain to answer it and they never even answer. I don't even know what just happened, to tell you the truth. And they suck you in and you're listening to all this stuff they're saying. You keep thinking that they're gonna make a point and they're already nervous, so you don't wanna push them too much. But it's an hour. I had 10 questions to ask you and we're on one and you still haven't answered it. All right, so don't do that. Do talk, do be excited, but just not too much. Chew gum, just be careful because if you do get excited, you're probably gonna spit that on somebody or you don't realize whenever you're nervous, you're chewing it. We have a kid in our youth group where we're making peanut butter eggs right now, and when he has any kind of downtime, I'm no longer, the deal is he cannot stand by me anymore because first of all, I'm one of those people that can hear every pop that you make in gum. I had to get up a couple of weeks ago from a ball game I was at with my child because the parent beside of me kept popping her gum over and over and over. I literally moved a whole set of bleachers over because I thought I was going to hurt her if I didn't. It makes me that crazy. But this kid stands beside me as we're making these peanut butter eggs, and he's going, oh. And I was like, ah! Like 10 times. And we called him Goober. I'm like, Goob, seriously, you have to stop. I've even had him in my car before, and like, stop. If you don't stop it, I'm gonna kick you out. Like, I'm smiling the whole time I say it, and then I pull over and I'm like, get out. He's like, what? Clearly I'm not going to. Just then put the gun out, because you can't sit here anymore. People don't realize that they're doing it, so just don't do it. Inappropriate language. People drop the F-bomb on us all the time.
So true.
Or, damn it, I didn't know that, or shit, that was crazy, or I don't know what the hell was going on. Like, they'll say this type of stuff over the phone or like right in front of us, and we're like, I just want to make sure I heard you right. You just said F, da 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 da. And they're like, yeah, da 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 da. And they keep going. And we say it back to them because like we want them to hear what it was that they just said, for them to go, oh my gosh, I really just said that. But usually if they've dropped it, they just keep right on with it. We're underlining it and writing it in the notes every time they do it. Bring cell phones to an interview. People will respond to emails and text messages in their interview. Wait, can you give me a minute? I need to answer this.
Oh, yes.
Or it's in their pocket that's going ding, ding.
If that happens, just stop it. Just put it out and stop it.
Vibrate is not silent. I don't know what people think it is. It's not silent. Okay, so just leave it in the car. Because I turn everything off in my office when you all come in. My phone goes to do not disturb, my cell phone goes off. I shut my email down. That way we don't hear the ding, 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 ding. Because I can't stop it from happening, but I can shut it down so we can't hear it. But that stuff really happens. I know you think that we're crazy, but I promise you it really happens. A lot of people will look at their watch during an interview. I keep thinking, you have somewhere to be? Or am I taking up too much of your time?
You get like people in the resume, they put like a text, like how you use text, like MSG.
Yes.
The message.
They do.
People do that with their applications.
That's what I was wondering, like, do people, because I noticed, like, if we have to review papers in class, and these are like real papers, like the final drafted papers, and they'll have that stuff in their papers. I just wondered if they did it on resume.
They really don't know how not to. They don't even, I don't think that they meant to do it. That's just really how they type things now. I just can't spell, period. I'll be the first person to tell you, like, spelling is not my friend. But it's not because I'm being lazy and putting in abbreviations. I just literally just spelled that wrong word wrong. No, they just put in an abbreviation like they do when they text.
Their resume.
Say that anyone you meet is unimportant. There's a lot of times, like our general manager will roll downstairs and you'll be sitting there and people are talking, like candidates are all sitting down there and they're talking and he's standing there for a little bit, letting them have some time, and they just don't even pay attention to him. They don't know who he is, and he doesn't come down there to say, and he never says, I'm the general manager. But he'll say, oh, are you all here for interviews? Well, I'm Sean, how are you doing? Oh, really, that's great, so where are you all from? And he just fits right in with them, talks to him for a little bit, and he's like, all right, well, good luck, everybody. He rolls out, and then they just go right back to talk. Never asked him a question. And that's our general manager. Made $2 million last year. He's the vice president of the company. He's an officer. He makes big decisions. So don't ever unassume that somebody is, or don't ever assume somebody is unimportant, because you never know. You what?
When I walk around like just the city, I'm scared that I'm gonna mess up in front of somebody that's my future employer. So I'm actually very cautious. It's great.
Yeah. You will be better off that way, I promise. How many get a question? We talked about this, the smile, firm handshake, verbal and nonverbal communication, so delivering and animation, presentations of ideas, grammar and vocabulary, all huge. I talked to you about the delivery and how horrible it is, but you don't have to be like this either whenever you come into my office, because sometimes I'm like scooting back. I don't know if they're coming over to the like desk to eat me. I've had somebody knock. Is that my thing? I'm sorry. time, our group rental manager was doing an interview with a guy, and he had set up at the end of the desk and was talking to him, and he went to like tell a story, and he moved his arm and he knocked the coffee cup over, and coffee like went all over the general manager's desk.
Oh.
It's okay to be up at the desk and to be excited, but if you're gonna do that, be aware of your hand motions, what you're doing. You don't ever, we hired the guy because he was that good and he was great, but, and he was, I mean, I love that boy, he was a diva ever since, he was exciting to be around, he got things done, he did really, really well with us, but that could have been a real negative if he hadn't done so well everywhere else. Employers will be on the lookout for flaws. Avoid making negative impressions and focus on your skills within the position. When discussing negatives, put a positive spin on it. I think sometimes it's awesome when you can tell me that you failed at something, what you learned from it, the steps that you put in place to never do it again, and then how it turned into a positive the next time. We all fail at something. None of us have ever been 100% of everything that we wanted to do, got everything that we ever wanted. We've all made mistakes. What's important about those mistakes is what you've learned from them and how you've been able to overcome them. You don't want to keep talking about the same one over and over, or multiple ones, but if you ever do showcase something that's actually a great example of how you succeeded, let me tell you first how bad I failed. Let me tell you what I learned about that failure, the steps that I put into place to overcome that, and then how it went the next time. All right. Behavioral interviewing. What they say about behavioral interviewing is your past experiences are the best predictors for your future outcomes. Okay? So that's how people use that. I'm never going to expect you to be able to tell me how to run a rental office. If you came into an office today, what would you do if this happened? You don't know what you would do because you've never been there. How can I expect you to do that? People used to say, if you woke up in the morning and there's a pink elephant in your yard, what would you do? Like this literally would get people or not get people a job. What would you all do? Yeah, if you woke up with a pink elephant in your yard, what would you do?
Picture.
Take a picture? The right answer was supposed to be sell tickets for people to come in to see it. So, yeah, because that crossed your mind, right? That used to happen all the time. Those are questions that people would use, just these random, crazy questions. I don't even know where they came from. What I want to know is, here's something that we do all the time. Here's something that we've struggled with. Tell me about a time that you've been in a situation that's similar, and then walk me through your experience. That's what I want to know of how you're going to perform this one piece. And that's what behavioral interviewing does. Okay, so the benefit is knowing you've had this experience, you've been through it, this is how you performed, here was the end result. That's telling me in the future, you've got the skills to do those things and how you're going to be successful or not successful with it, right? Customer service is a big, big thing for us. I'll turn it over so you see that. And we'll ask people all the time, tell me about a time that you had to deal with a customer conflict or maybe an upset customer. Tell me a little bit about the situation and how you work through it. Well, they get upset, so I just call my manager and let them deal with it. Okay, I don't want to know what your manager did. I want to know about a time that you had to work with an angry customer, an upset customer, there was a conflict, and what you did to resolve the situations. What steps did you take? How did you try to overcome everything that was going on? Sometimes at the end of the day, the only thing you can do to get it resolved is get a manager in there because they can give or do certain things. But I want to know how proactive you are, how you problem solve, and what steps you take to eliminate that before you call a manager in. It was one of our commercials that's out right now, which I love. It's my favorite commercial that we have of us, is we're family owned. Customer service is the most important thing to us. If you have a problem, tell me. They empower me to fix it. I don't have to get a manager. I don't have to get a supervisor. I can fix it. Come tell me what's going on. There's no more empowerment or no happier employees than when you teach them how to do these things and you empower them to do it and you let them do it. Now they're taking ownership, now they're learning, and now they're doing. We want to know that you at least have the skills in order to do that. So when you're in that situation, after we give you that training, after we give you that direction, you're going to be able to do it. Okay? Here's probably something, and so for you all to remember it, one of the most important things in here. You're answering a question in an interview. It's actually called the STAR method, for the S-T-A-R. Okay? My question may be, tell me about a time you were able to sell someone on a product or an idea that they weren't interested before you actually sold them on it. Okay, here was the situation. This is what the customer wanted, but as I was listening to them, this is really not what they wanted to do. So, I started talking to them a little bit more, digging a little bit more about kind of where they wanted to be with that, what they were going to use it for, how many watts, how many movies they downloaded, whether we were selling a computer or I don't know, whatever it is that you're trying to talk about. So here was the task that I had to overcome. Here's what I did. Took them across the way. I showed them something that they probably didn't even know existed. I talked to them about how much memory they were going to have, or they kept telling me that they wanted a steak, but they didn't want these other things. They didn't even know that we had this available. So all of the actions that you put into place to get their buy-in, and then the end result. Okay? So state the situation, what you had to overcome, or what you had to do in order to make it happen, what you actually did, the steps that you actually took in order to make that happen, and then the result. So it's the STAR method. Okay? How many of you are freaked out by this? Which is funny, because where are you from?
Oh, me, kind of.
Yeah. Generally, culturally, you all are okay with that. Here, in the western part of it, not so much. We don't do really well with silence. Is it awkward for you all? Do you feel like you were supposed to say something else?
I think it's a nice time to really think about what you're supposed to
I
say.
think it's a nice time to reflect, like you can pause.
Yeah, you're uncomfortable with it, aren't you? Like, but I'm aware that I'm uncomfortable with it. Like, I know that I am, so I'm more cautious about filling that space in before I go on with it, just because I've been trained to do that. But it doesn't make me not uncomfortable with it. I'm just aware that I'm uncomfortable with it and what my actions are when it happens, so I make it not happen, but it doesn't make the ooh go away whenever it happens. A lot of people will sell themselves right out of a job when this happens. Because they answered the question and probably did well, and a lot of times she and I are writing, because we're taking notes with what you said. Or if we had you on the phone and tell you to begin with, you're gonna hear me typing, I'm not Facebooking, I'm not Twitting, I'm not doing any of that, I'm actually taking notes on what you're saying. So if you hear typing, that's what I'm doing. And so they're telling me, and I'm trying to type all of this in there, and I'm trying to make notes to myself about inflection, or maybe a couple of little things that they said, or that was really good, because I want to go back and review it. I'm still typing when they finish, and then they'll just start saying something else. I'm like, oh, be quiet, stop it, that was really good. I need to know what you're saying right now, because you're showing me the crazy that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. But a lot of times, that's when you just start doing a lot of that talking, and you get completely off subject, and now we're behind, too, okay? And then you want to make sure, if you walk through kind of this is what that failure was, you always point out that positive result. Here's a couple of questions. Can you tell me about a time when you held a leadership position? Give examples. Think about that STAR method that I just told you. Here's the situation, here's the task, here's what I put into place, and here was the result. Sure, I can tell you about a leadership position that I had. Here was the title. Okay, that kind of becomes your situation. Here are a couple of things as a leader that I had to make sure got done, or get done, or overcame. Here's the steps that I put into place in order to make sure I had that done. And here was my success, my result. Can you tell me about a time you had to handle a challenging customer? We talked about that. Okay. Have questions. That's where some of that awkward silence can come in. We're trying to get you to come on board with us and to work with us. We tell you that you have this degree, that we're going to promote your performance, that you have maybe totally make sense. And so when I look at you and I'm telling you you have to work 48 hours a week, and then what the starting pay is, and here's our benefits, but this is where you can go, and we have this huge promotion package that you can go through. Like, if you've gone through a lot of stuff, this is really about launching your career. Really, you don't have any questions? Gotta believe you gotta have questions, okay? Even if it has to be, well, tell me about your experience with the company. How long have you been here? What do you like best about it? What do you like least about it? When you reflect back sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in right now, or maybe when you first started with the company, what do you wish you had known or figured out a little earlier that would have propelled your success with the company? Now's the time to start talking about, if they haven't talked about it already, how does performance work? Is this performance or seniority? Well, how do promotions work? Do I get to choose where I want to work, or are you just going to put me where I need to go? What about paid time off the first year? How does that look? My wife and I are thinking about, or maybe she's having a baby. How does paternity time work? A lot of times you have maternity leave for women. Do you have maternity time for the fathers? Is that a benefit that we have here? Okay? Questions. Really think about the things that you want to know. And really ask what you want to know. This is your time to interview them. They just had their time, now they gave you the floor to do the same thing. Make sure you completely understand the position, and then ask about the steps in the interview process. So what's next? Leanne and I just tell people that on the phone interview anyway. We generally know what most of your questions are going to be. Maybe not those 10 questions that I just gave you, but a lot of people want to know about salary, but they're afraid to ask about it. A lot of people want to know about the hours, they're afraid to ask about it. They want to know about benefits, they're afraid to ask about it. They want to know about the interview process, but they're afraid to ask about it. So we do all that on the phone interview, and we just tell you. Because if this is all, or any of this is something that's not going to relate, should you stay in the interview process? No. So let's just get all of these really important things out of the way real quick, and let us just tell you what it is, rather than having you ask. Because I need you as relaxed and as focused as possible so that I know who you are and what I find, what goods that I find from my company. All right? But it's okay to ask those things. Absolutely. And then let them know how excited you are about going on to the next step and hearing from them. And how long is it going to be before you hear about the next step, or whether you're going to be in the interview process. Within 24 hours ever of the time that you apply with Enterprise, we will be in contact with you. Unless it's like Friday evening, it may be Monday morning before you hear us. As neurotic as she is, you will probably hear from her within 24 hours. We're working on that, all right? We're working on work-life balance right now, but she just can't make herself stop, and she sees me do the same thing. So I'm working on it, and she's working on it, and so we're trying to make that stop happening so that we can breathe. It's just who we are. Enterprise doesn't expect us to do it, it's just how we're made, so we do it. But within 24 hours of the time that you've heard from us, and that we actually start talking and we get you situated, if you respond to us, you will either have been through a phone interview or you are scheduled for an interview for when you are free. And from the time that you do any kind of interview with our company, within 24 hours, you have an answer of yay and nay of whether you're moving forward to the next process. What we are finding and what we have heard for years, I've heard this, but most recently we have heard, I can't believe you actually contacted me. I've been filling out applications forever and no one has responded to even my application or my resume. I was shocked when I got an email back immediately. I just applied this morning. It's noon. What are you doing? Are you on board? I know they haven't made that from what they're telling me. But when we say to them, there's several candidates that we need to see. We're really just looking to place two. We have about 60 people that we're considering for this position right now. Give us 24 hours. You know, we've probably already done a few of those interviews. We're able to weed a few people out. Now we're trying to see everybody else, and then we want to get a good candidate pool and a good mix of people to send to that next piece. But within 24 hours, whether it's via telephone or via email, and generally it's via email, so we can give you specific directions and you don't have to play phone tag, and we're going to let you know what's going on. Okay. If you're not interested, graciously decline. Don't just quit emailing us and telling us. Because you wouldn't believe how many people these start in about a year contacting us again when you do the interview process. And when you haven't been able to tell us no, which is okay, because I would rather you tell me it's not okay for you right now than for me to hire you and you quit. But I'm gonna start looking at your interview notes because we keep those logged electronically, and I see that you wouldn't even return my phone calls or anything else. Guess what I'm gonna tell you? Yeah, I think you clearly are not very professional. Even if you meet my standards, I don't want you.
On another note too, if we happen to pass on you or if another company happens to pass on you,
Meaning,
take that.
we're not gonna give you the opportunity to move forward.
Be gracious about that as well, because you would not believe how many people were this close to getting the job. There were just a couple of things that they needed to tweak to get it, and if they had asked me, I would have told them that information, but instead they sent me a really nasty email. So I copy that and I place that in their file, and when they come back to us, which sometimes happens, I have a little reminder of the fact that they weren't so professional and gracious the first time.
How effing stupid we are, and how big of a ridiculous mistake we made, and we don't know what we're doing, and they can't believe that we have a job with this company, and that this company's stupid, and they didn't want to work here anyway. And so I told Leanne when she came to work for me a year ago, and to our department, you're going to get a hate mail. She was like, what are you talking about? And I told her, she was like, whatever. Like, the next day, she got her first hate letter. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe this really happened. We just have fun with it now. We're like, crazy bin, that's where they go. We avoided a bullet. Thank you for letting us know. We were right after all.
It's
We're
okay to
kidding.
ask for advice. I have candidates that just shows me that you were truly engaged. Ask me what you can improve upon. I'll tell you.
We've hired tons of people that have said, I want to work for enterprise. That's where I want my career. If I'm not right now, what do I have to do to get this experience, to get what it is that you're looking for, so in 6 months I can come back and sit in front of you? We've hired a ton of people that have done that because it's something super small that maybe they even had in that interview, but they didn't showcase it to us, and so we have to go on, but bring this back to me in 6 months and show me that you can do this. Right? And we talked about that. Either graciously decline, send a thank you note, sometimes an email at the end of the day of your interview, and just let them thank you for their time and their consideration, and that you're really excited about what you do with their company, and you're awaiting to hear from them. If you can't send them a note or a letter, do a follow-up phone call with them. And I was expecting to hear something, and just really excited. If you have any feedback for me, those are okay to do as well.
I put those in the files too.
Yeah, we did. Everything is in the file. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Was this helpful?
What do like a quick career fire and who started the conversation? Like when
You should.
I should.
Yes. And I have another PowerPoint on how to work a career fair that I can send to Hannah that she can pass on to you all. It's actually awesome. But basically what it says, we have a career fair coming up next week, right? Do you have the employers listed yet?
I do.
Okay, is it online?
Mhm.
Okay, go online, figure out who the employers are that's gonna be here, okay? Dress professionally for the career fair, please.
You won't be allowed in if you don't dress professionally. That, you won't hit the door.
Have your resumes ready. She will be able to kind of tell you where all the companies are when you get here to sign in, like specific companies. You're gonna know which ones are gonna be here because you're gonna go home and you're gonna research that. Research all of those companies. You may never know that company may actually offer a position you'd be interested in. The career fair is an opportunity to go in, basically network, have somebody's name that you can draw because you talked to them. And if I knew Enterprise was gonna be here and I wanted to work there, whenever I found that Enterprise table, I would come over and say, hi, my name is Nikki Gray. I'm a psychology student here. I'm a senior, getting ready to graduate. I saw online that Enterprise was going to be here. I've heard fabulous things about your management training program. I'm super interested in sales. I love people. I'm incredibly active in my community and on campus. I want to apply. I don't have time to do the internship right now because I'm graduating in a couple months. But what do I need to do? What's the best way to apply for the management trainee program?
And I'm impressed because she was able to do all the things that she just told you about, and then we can start having a meaningful dialogue about how she can apply and get through that process.
And then, what positions are you looking for right now? Which areas are you hiring for? Are there certain positions that you're trying to place? What type of candidate are you looking for? Who makes a great management trainee? How do they get promoted? Okay, find out what it is that you really want to know. Thank you so much for your time. Offer the resume. I have a resume with me. Would you like a resume? Some companies, we can't accept your resume. Okay, don't get offended. That's just laws and rules and regulations that kind of hold us to that we have to be able to do that. But they may say you can actually, when you complete your application online, you can upload it there. However, here's my card. A good recruiter would say that. If you have any questions, or as soon as you apply, shoot me an email and let me know that you've applied, and we'll get in contact with you. You know, remind me who you are, that we met at the career fair, what your name is, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get right back to you as soon as possible. Or grab their card because you apply online, you never hear anything, and you're gonna follow up with that person to see what's going on, and they can check on it for you. Okay, but make sure you do your research a little bit on those companies before you go, so you know what questions that you want to ask. Are you an international student?
Oh, me, yeah.
Okay. I did at WVU last week. Here's the deal with international students. Unfortunately, the way that the sponsorship is laid out and the way that you have to work about getting your visa, before you go and waste a ton of time, do a little bit of research with each one of those companies and see international students, if you don't have a work visa, what their rules and regulations are with that. We aren't allowed to hire anyone that doesn't have a permanent work authorization, okay? So your 1 year of OPT, I'm not allowed to use that up. You may need that as soon as you graduate to actually use to work for a company who's going to be able to sponsor you, who's going to be able to leave you here because we can't sponsor you. That's just something we don't do. If you come to work for me and I use your 1 year of OPT and you don't get to a level 3 position, which is a specialized position in our company in that 1 year, which you will not do ever at Enterprise, okay? We won't be able to get that sponsorship for you because you're not specialized yet. But I just used all your OPT. So guess what happened?
I forgot to get there.
You're gonna have to leave. You're gonna have to leave the country because you can't be here any longer, okay? So we don't hire people anymore that don't have the permanent work authorization or the visa work card in order to do that. Find out before you come in which companies that are gonna be here do, so you don't have to waste your time on anybody else, okay?
National travel does. They've already told me they're specifically looking for international students.
Okay. And Hannah probably has resources that will direct you as you're looking for jobs out there that will tell you who hires global candidates or international candidates, so you're not wasting your time. It used to be a really hard conversation for me to have until I really understood the impact on the candidate, and I have a ton of respect for my company because they won't do that to you all. They won't allow us to waste that 1 year that you have here, knowing that we're not going to be able to do what it is that needs to be done for you all to get that sponsorship, okay? So think about that too before you go to work for a company who can't guarantee you that they can sponsor you, that if you need the money, they're not going to be able to fund that money, but they're not also going to be able to use or give you a job because it's not fair for them to waste your time, okay?
You guys better come and see me next week.
Leanne will be here, yeah, at the career fair next week. So even if you just need to de-stress and somebody to talk to or help you get refocused, just stop by the table and see her.
Can I stop at your table and you can act like you're very interested in me and maybe make somebody jealous?
How about this? If there's a specific question about another, you don't have to come because you're interested in Enterprise. You can just come by to say hi, first of all. But if you maybe want to try something out before you go and say it to somebody else, I'd be happy to.
If you guys could go ahead and fill out those surveys that I needed you and hand those to me as you're leaving. Let's thank Nikki for her time.
Are you welcome? You too.